Hey everyone, I'm Ben.
And I'm Ben, and welcome to part 2 of Rational Conversations.
And if you haven't watched part 1, make sure you click on the link below and watch that first, or else this isn't going to make any sense at all.
You can't watch part 2 without watching part 1. So, man, do you think they're ready for this next Rational Conversation?
Man, let's find out.
All right.
Well, I think that the sides are so extreme that not only are you not bringing people together, I feel like our conversations have gotten to the point where they're so irrational, so bad, so one-sided that we're completely pushing the other people away. So that middle ground you talk about that doesn't exist, that gap is widening even more over the past just couple months.
Oh my goodness. And you're right, man. You start talking about, this gap here and I love how you just kind of said it spreads and spreads, and that's what's happening. We find ourselves, there is no middle ground. There is no, far left or far right. The bottom line is everybody's far.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing with this. Like if you vote for President Trump, you're just so far gone that way. You're a villain. Like if you vote for President Trump, you're a villain. If you don't completely get on board with Black Lives Matter and kneeling, you're a villain. So I think there are people that support different things like the Black Lives Matter and the kneeling. They just don't like the specific way it's going, for partially because of that reason, because they don't like how extreme it is, and they feel like they don't fully understand what's going on. And when you single someone out like that, they don't want to understand because they feel like you're just bashing them over the head over and over, and everywhere they go, and they can't get away from it. So they're completely turned off with the situation. They don't even want to see it.
Exactly.
People are boycotting baseball, basketball, now football, and people are like, I don't even want to watch that anymore because everything's political. It's the coronavirus is going on. We want an escape, but
it's hard having an escape because it's become political. And I think what happens is when we start looking at everything from the standpoint of right and wrong, left and right, what ends up happening is we find ourselves so divided, and then we find ourselves arguing about who divided us.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is, we did.
Yeah.
We're the ones having a conversation. We're the ones that can bring ourselves together. We're the ones that can begin to talk, rationalize, and basically begin to understand what the other person, at least understand where the other person is coming from. And then we can walk in peace.
Yeah. So I think we need to kind of take this towards the end direction here potentially, because we're all about like talking and having a rational conversation. But I think talking without actions is just really kind of pointless.
Absolutely.
You can sit here and have great conversations all day long, but until we actually turn that conversation into action steps, like we're never going to get anywhere.
Exactly.
So I think, and I would say one thing is, if you think about the people that have a voice right now, if you think about people in the NBA and sports, all eyes are on them. That's great. So let's start to have rational conversations. Let's actually, instead of talking about it and putting slogans, like what can we actually tangibly start to do besides just talking about it?
Right. And I love that, because we have to get to a place, as you were speaking, what came to my mind is we have to get off the conversational treadmill. We're doing all these conversations, we're getting absolutely nowhere. It's not until we get off of that conversational treadmill where we can actually start making progress and taking those action steps. And I think one of those steps is finding ourselves in a position to where after we have these rational conversations, let me go back and take something that you spoke about, and let me go back and really look at it. Let me really take an opportunity to understand and begin to see where you were getting, where your thoughts were being framed, your opinion was being framed, and actually take that into consideration as I'm trying to further myself. And it's not I'm not looking at it from a standpoint of I want to be able to prove you wrong. I want to look at it from an aspect of I want to understand.
Yeah, I think this is such a weird word to think about right now, and the word I thought about is love. And it's such a weird word to think about nowadays because there's so much hate. Like, what if we chose to love? What if we chose to care about each other? You have a different opinion, but I'm going to ask you questions about why you feel that way. I'm not just going to push you away and say you're wrong. I'm going to say, okay, you believe in that. Why do you believe in that?
Yeah.
And so it starts to bridge that gap. It brings out the caring, empathy, and love because you're caring about someone more than yourself, more than your own opinion, and that'll help people open up.
And that's what we're all about. You know, we have to be in this position to where, and before I say that, all of us want to be in a situation where we're having a conversation with someone and they love and respect us. Mm-hmm. They're accepting of our opinion. Sorry for all the the blurbs. They're accepting of our opinion. Everybody wants that. Mm-hmm. Again, you don't have to agree with me, but just hear me out. I don't know how many times I've heard people going back and forth, and it was like, just hear me out, just listen to me. Mm-hmm. But it comes from that respect aspect, and that respect aspect comes from the fact, like you were saying, it comes from that word love. It's like, if I love you enough as a human being, or I love you enough as a person, I'm not saying we got to be buddy, high five and having sleepovers, going to the store together, watching sports together. All I'm saying is, let's just be rational. And from human being to human being, let me respect you enough to love you and to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I think that's really our first step. If we were to challenge anyone watching, it's just, how do we have a conversation with the other side? Go seek someone out that you don't agree with and just listen to them. Mm-hmm. And listen to them without like an agenda or trying to think, okay, here's how I'm going to combat this and that. Genuinely listen and genuinely care. And at the end of the day, you had a good conversation.
Right.
But if you have that conversation where you're just, like we talked about, if you're just young, you're going to come out of that conversation the same way you came in, but probably angrier and more separated.
Exactly. And I loved how you said to approach that. Is approach it with a question. And let that question be something where it's not, so I want to know what. No. Just come and say, help me understand why it is that, you feel this way. Or tell me why it is that you support this. And not from a standpoint of wanting to combat, but from a place of understanding. If all you have to do is ask questions. Don't try to give information. Don't try to say, well, I think you're wrong about that. No, because then we start getting back into that irrational, we're on separate sides. Let me just continue asking you a question. Let you begin to speak more and more. Eventually, the tables will turn. Mm-hmm. Because I've given you the respect to hear what I have to say. I'm almost willing to guarantee, don't take me on that, but that's why I say almost willing. I'm almost willing to guarantee that somewhere down the line, the person's going to ask, well, tell me what it is that you think. Mm-hmm. And now you're having this rational conversation, and because you didn't lash out at them and destroy their argument, or even call an argument, they're willing to listen to you now.
And that's where change really comes from, and that's really the first step. So you say, what do we do? There's all these slogans, there's all this talking. What do we do? The first step to change is listening.
Listening.
So if you go to somebody right now, I literally challenge you to do this. Even if you don't go up to someone, try to go watch a video from someone else's point of view and just watch it without any, bad intent, ill will. Just genuinely do it to care.
Yeah.
Because that's where we are going to see the change. But I think we're afraid to listen because we're afraid that our viewpoint might change. We're afraid that, maybe you vote for someone else, but I'm okay with that because my world doesn't end over the election, right. Or if you don't believe in whatever. I think we have to get past that, again, that fear aspect, and that's how we move forward.
Exactly. And when we started off, one of the things that you kind of mentioned was, we're in this place, one of the reasons why we're in this place is because of fear. And then now we're talking about the opposite of fear, which is love. And the way that we combat fear is through love. And so on both ends of this, man, we're kind of sandwiched how to have this conversation in between what causes the irrational conversations and what part of the cure is. And so when we start talking about part of the solution, we're going to be able to not just move forward, but we'll see ourselves having more and more conversations that are rational, where we can actually progress and start seeing some changes in our lives. Man, this has been really good. I really like having a rational conversation with you.
It has been something special.
I think we should do it again. What do you think?
We definitely should. Let's do it again.
We're going to do this again. While you're waiting for us to do this again, we want to first thank you for watching part 2 of Rational Conversations. We're going to have some more. Like this video, subscribe to the channel to check out some of the other videos, and make sure you leave a comment for us so we know what kind of topics you would like to hear us talk about.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear from you and what you would like us to talk about next. But before you go, please click on the link below and check out our shop. And
Yes.
we will talk to you soon.
We'll talk to you soon.